Alright guys, thanks for joining me. It is early morning, it's freezing cold. Yeah, lovely geese here. I'm the only person around. Check this out. Well guys, sometimes you just get lucky. And as it's really early morning, hey, look at this. Just me out here. Don't want to jinx it, but you know how it goes guys. The first thing I see and pick up, it gives me an indicator of how the day might go, or not. But love this. Let's see if we can see any prints on there. Upon further inspection, look at this. There's an interesting little feature. So that had an aperture there. And this is interesting all round because the fabric looks to me medieval. But I'm just not sure. It looks like a dish of some kind, or you know, an aperture like that makes you think it's possibly a strainer, but it's not very deep, is it? It's a shallow thing, and it's quite crudely made, not in a wheel. Or is it? Looks like a hand-built pot of some sort. I will consult the oracle, old Richard Henry. Sorry, not so old, young Richard Henry. See what he says. Isn't it always a sweet touch when you find one of these just sitting there? I'll give you a second. I'm sure you can see it, but here we go, going in exactly as I first saw it. There we are, lovely pipe. 18th century, 17th to 18th. In fact, look at that, beautiful. The milling around the top of the bowl there. A lovely touch. Nice little spur, bit of a stem. And when I get home, I'll let that dry out. We'll pluck the mud from there and see if there's a dottle of tobacco left inside the bottom. Yeah, nice little pipe. Of my many New Year's resolutions, this is one. Whether I stick to it or not, we shall see. But, oh yeah, so the resolution is, don't take every piece of lovely redware home just because it's got a funny bit on it. This has got a funny bit on it. There it is, look, you can see. Pretty basic post-medieval, London area post-medieval redware vessel of some sort, pot, dish, whatever. But here you can see this bit's been knocked off, so it gives you a cross-section of the glaze on there. And there's some glaze, I think there's some sooting on there as well. I don't think there's any slip. Not sure, but oh, I think I'm going to have to break this resolution already and take this with me. Okay. Walking along to my destination, and I've seen another lovely thing here, so I'm going in slowly, see if you can see it too. And here it is. Let's have a look. Because I think, yep, decorated. Oh, beautiful. You can see the thistles there. Absolutely beautiful. And on this side, are they roses? We will take a look at home. I think thistles, Scotland. And I'm not sure. Okay, all will become clearer when it's dry and we're at home, but very nice. 19th century pipe. Very pretty. Pipe bowl. Well, you know me, and I'm going to say it again, I wouldn't normally But I'm going to take this one because look at that detail. I love it. I think I can probably ID it. I turned it over a minute ago and found this. Look at this little, whoever this person is, marching up a staircase with a spear or some kind of pike in hand. I love this little nugget of, well, it's a little, as I've said before, a miniature artwork of its own, isn't it? So let's see if I can ID it. It'll probably drive me absolutely nuts, but I'm going to try. Back again at the unlikely corner. It's this corner where you wouldn't expect things to turn up, and they do. This tiny 17th century pipe bowl, not the smallest, but very diminutive. Just the bowl. Yep, just it was nestled in under here actually, just under there, in the strange corner that things turn up at. I think, you know, you've got a limited time in these strange areas because things wash away quite quickly. So just to give you a little comparison, the 3 bowls I've found so far today, this is later, and then getting earlier, and then earlier still. So you can see the difference, how much of a draw on your puff that would, on your puffer that would yield as tobacco became more readily available and less expensive to purchase. The bowls got bigger. In fact, that should be that way around, and one could have a bigger draw, bigger puff on their pipe. There you go, 3 different tobacco pipe bowls through the ages. 17th, 17th to 18th, 18th to 19th. I've got a valid reason for taking this one. Redware, yes, but it's the top of a sugar cone mould, and I'm taking it because I love this glaze that's spilling out here from the inside of the sugar cone mould and make a sugar loaf in here. I'll stick some info up on the screen, but yeah, taking that just because I haven't seen a bottle aperture a sugar cone mould, a sugar loaf mould with this glaze on before, like this coming out of the top. So yeah, taking that, lovely. And you say it's never sunny. It's sunny all right when you've got the crows down here today. One for the brick fans, I am officially back in the brick zone. You know it, I know it. I'm gonna have to take it. SD, not one I've got. Got some age. Here comes the info for this lovely SD brick on the back. Nothing. In the frog, SD. Okay, info coming now. Okie dokie, brick fans and non-brick fans, let's enter the world of Kentish brickmakers Smeed Dean. We all love a rags to riches story, don't we? And you know, I love bricks. So I found this Smeed Dean brick, as you can see, in an abundant brick pile. Used extensively throughout London and the south of England for 200 years, yep, they are still going to this very day, now made and sold by Wienerberger. You'll find Smeed Dean bricks in many historic buildings, including Buckingham Palace and the Tower of London. George Smeed, born 1812, died 1881, was the enterprising mastermind of Smeed Dean. Having left school with very little formal education, some reports say he was illiterate, George bought a small holding and brickworks in Sittingbourne, Kent, by raising money through various odd jobs. In drastic contrast to his earlier adult years, in which, according to Chris Britcher of Kent Online, George allegedly made his living as a hawker who slept under hedgerows and made a pittance from selling potatoes and rabbit skins, by 1881, at the age of 70, had amassed a fortune in excess of what today would be £20 billion. Smeed later brought his son-in-law into the brickmaking fold, and that is how we get the Smeed Dean name. Now, Smeed Dean owned a number of expanding brickfields, but also shipyards. After all, what does any hugely successful brickmaking company need? Transport to deliver their bricks to site, of course. By 1860, George Smeed owned many shipyards, one being at Milton Creek, Merston, where Smeed was born, and that had easy access to the rivers Swale and Thames. The wooden 64-ton engineless sailing barge, S.B. George Smeed, exists to this day, rebuilt in 1922. She was first built in 1882 by Smeed Dean & Co. and used in their business before being passed on to another company for use as a lighterage vessel. The success of Smeed Dean bricks can be found in their unique recipe. Smeed collected town ash and clinker from fire grates in London, mixing it with local Kentish chalk and brick earth to create the original London stock bricks. To the present day, town ash collected in the Victorian period is still used in the manufacture of Smeed Dean London stock. Although now owned by Wienerberger, the bricks are still manufactured on the same site bought by George Smeed in the 1800s, using the same locally sourced clay and original town ash accumulated in the Victorian period. Although produced today in a modern manufacturing plant, they still use the old recipe and long-established skills and knowledge. Wienerberger claimed that Smeed Dean can rightly be known as the aristocrat of bricks, and I dare say they're right, as they go on to say that many brickmakers have tried to reproduce the appearance of the bricks, but with only limited success, since Smeed Dean bricks feature a unique combination of local chalk, brick earth, town ash, and clinker collected from the grates of Victorian London, giving them a singular character. Well, say no more. Kent was once a huge brickmaking county, especially in the Victorian period. From Swale to Sevenoaks and Thanet to Tunbridge Wells, brickworks were springing up all over the place, in Ashford, Medway, Folkestone, Crayford, and as the workforce grew, demand for local workers' housing skyrocketed. George Smeed even built a pub for his workers. It was called the Brickmaker's Arms. Now here's a clever thing, as pointed out by historian David Cuffley in the same Kent Online article. When brick marks were introduced in the 1850s, SD was printed on the bricks. All the bricklayers, even up to modern times, would recognise SD as being Smeed Dean, and they would refer to the letters as also standing for strength and durability. How about that for a memorable testimonial? George Hambrook Dean joined the business in 1875, at which point it became known as Smeed Dean & Co. At its peak, in 1877, his firm, Smeed Dean, was churning out more than 60 million of the distinctive yellow London stock bricks, making it the biggest in the county of Kent. George Smeed died in 1881, and the Western press would remember this colourful character with an inclination to use strong language as the making of Sittingbourne. His personal estate was valued at £160,000, which is almost £16.5 million sterling today. George Dean became the head of the company after Smeed died and continued in the business until his death in 1924. At this point, the business continued as Smeed Dean & Co., still hugely successful, growing in size in fact. However, it was not without its troubles. In 1926, 2,000 workers went on strike over pay. I might be reading too much into it, but it's notable that there were no issues of this kind when Smeed and Dean were alive. When Dean died, he made a number of donations to Baptist organisations and requested a humble funeral. Can we take away from this that he and Smeed were both good eggs? In fact, George Smeed now has a charitable trust set up in his name to help local people on lower incomes in the Kent area. The company, as already stated, continues to this day. Yes, mateys, the curse of the broken buckle continues. Those of you who've been following me for a while now will know what I'm talking about. What a pain! This would have been a real whopper. You can see there, the edge of it, that's where the pin would have gone. Really pretty big. Yeah. Damn. Soon we will get completed. Although it's not a giant piece, it's a big enough piece for me to take home. Look at this brain coral. So it was sticking out of the mud like that. So that's why it's all discoloured over here. But I'll get that cleaned and then we'll see how beautiful that really is. It probably arrived here as part of ballast from a ship. So there we go. Let's get that cleaned up. You might think it's a bit of a rarity to find a medieval buckle, but actually it's not. They turn up quite a lot. So this is an annular buckle. It would have been worn on a shoe. There it is. And let's see, is it stuck fast? Yes, iron. So the pin of the buckle is still there, but it's stuck fast with a bit of rust. I'll probably be able to get that open. But yeah, it's such a neat thing. I've got so many of these now though. Incredible, isn't it? Medieval shoe buckle from a medieval Londoner. Just there, just on the foreshore. Lovely. It is a tiny token, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's got a Star of David on there, and then on the other side there's something. It's pretty bashed up. I'm gonna take it home and see if I can make it a little more obvious what that is. But yeah, very sweet token there. Here it is all cleaned up. It's come up pretty well. There is a Star of David on one side, and on the other side it looks like some kind of cross. Okay, well that's all for today folks, and I will see you next time.